Hello everyone and welcome to a preview for the upcoming Divide and Conquer version 5. I'm going to be doing this one pretty much just ad-libbed and off script. I wanted to get this video out of the way just because I am going to be starting my fall quarter for university classes, so I don't know how often I'll be able to get content out, and I'm not sure if I'll have time to actually do a proper Reunited Kingdom playthrough on this channel. That shall remain to be seen. But in the meantime, I will give you guys a bit of a insider's look as to what has been done. And firstly, you might notice that the flag is a dark black color here. That is because in this campaign, we have assimilated with the forces of Bree. So now we own Mitchell Delving, Hobbiton, Longbottom, and Bree itself, with Barlaman and all of the unique generals here. But they do adopt these new Gondorian-inspired, or not Reunited Kingdom, but I guess Gondorian-styled, Arnorian-styled, whatever you want to say, looks. Those guys are all here. Of course, we have Alf, Bilbo Baggins here, who currently looks like Boromir, so just disregard that look. That should be changed in the future. This is not final, of course. Obviously, there are some culture issues when you do assimilate with them, as there's not much Dunedain culture in these places, so just note that you will probably have to put all your generals back into these towns and maybe adjust the taxes. Obviously, this is all pending to change. Perhaps they will have higher public order. I'm not really sure. But you do assimilate with all of them, and then you do unlock the extra units, such as the Rudara units. So you get your Huskarls, Cardalon units, the Landsmen, all that good stuff. Sworn Infantry and Sworn Horsemen, just to give you a generic kind of archer cav unit that's just nice to have around. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe outside of the core regions, the Cardalon and Rudara units are restricted, so I don't believe you can get the Rudara units down in Matraith. No, you actually do not. You only get Cardalon and the standard Dunedain units. I think that would expand to Tharbad and Cardalon, or Argon down here, so all of this region should be basically Cardalon units. When you get up towards the center and to the northeast, you'll get all your Rudara units, and I believe that even extends to the homelands here. And then I think your Arthedain units are kind of just scattered around most of these regions here. So that is one of the changes, and of course you do gain access to the likes of the Bandobers archers and the Watch sheriffs. Barlaman does have his gatekeepers, which is something nice to have. I don't believe we can currently train these, but of course that is all subject to change, and I'm sure in the near future that will be amended. I think there was a different auxiliary barracks, yeah, this one right here, to be done, but I think in time you will be able to get like your Watchman units, perhaps the Merchant Infantry, and so on from there. And do you have that? No, he just has Council's Guard, so there's still work to be done here, but that will be coming to the future. And if you do go with the Arnorian route, you do retain the ability to do the Beacon of Hope mercenaries, so like these Breland militias. If we were to send Andy down into Dunlin, we'd see some of their units. We might actually be able to do that with Halbrand here. Let's see what we have. Yeah, Dunlin, Dunedain Berserkers, Levy Axemen, Wolfguard, Pikes, Recruits, all that sort of good stuff down there. So you do retain that access. If you do the Reunited Kingdom, I believe you do not gain access to that. But Aragorn does keep his old look, just kind of in his ranger gear here. When you do the Reunited Kingdom, which we will switch to in a moment, you will see he actually has the armor that he wears in the third movie after he basically becomes king again, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to that now. And here we are as the Reunited Kingdom. And to do this, all you need to do is finish Aragorn's quest, use up the Oath Keepers, and then get out of the trees there, Aragorn, and then have Aragorn simply sit in front of Minas Tirith for a couple of turns while you are allied to Gondor and Dol Amroth, and then you shall take all of their lands here. And as you can see, Aragorn does have this new strategy map model with the updated armor here, looking pretty good, although everything, like I said, none of this is final. There's Boromir, so we get him. Boromir, I believe, is hanging out over here with the kind of navy royal blue color of the Reunited Kingdom. East Osgiliath does upgrade. I believe West Osgiliath is supposed to do that as well. I can't remember. I think it's done that because once you do the Reunited Kingdom, you can't upgrade the cities anymore, but like I said, everything is not final that you see here, but this is basically the gist of it. Now, one thing that is to be noted, you do actually have to train a new barracks here. So if you want to gain access to the Gondorian units, you do need to train the Dunedain War Camp. But I have petitioned that the stables and barracks and practice ranges still give you the current Gondorian units as they should. I mean, the infrastructure's already here. Why can't we train them? It's a bit silly, isn't it? But if you do choose this route, I do believe it is the harder one, since you can't train all too many units here until you build up new infrastructure. Obviously, you get Haven Guard and Nimrodel Mariners anywhere with a port. But you will be dealing with all of their enemies, so it sets you to war with the Ardenaim, the Haradrim, the Easterlings, Mordor, of course, Dol Guldur, Isengard, and then I was already at war with Moria and Angmar. But now you are suddenly fighting on many, many fronts. So down here in Gondor, you have all the evil forces here to contend with. And then if you haven't beaten Angmar in the north, you still must fight them and kind of deal with this split realm. So what I would advise doing this is probably just switch your capital to be one of the cities down here, like Ethring or something, and you'll see that the public order is mostly fixed. Although in the north, if it wasn't for the fact that I had cheated and maxed out all my cities, there would probably be some public order issues up here. But we do not gain access to the Shire, nor do we gain Bree. Those places shall remain autonomous. And I believe you cannot get the units down here. Like, you can't train Gondor infantry up here, so if I go to my encampment, there shouldn't be any mention of Gondorian or Dol Amrathan units. Although the Territorial Guardsmen seem to be available wherever. I guess this is just your generic militia units, so you'll keep those wherever you go. But you will not gain access to any Gondorian troops, unless, of course, you are to ship them all the way to the north. And likewise, you won't have your Dunedain Rangers, you won't have your Dunedain Scouts, or your Dunedain Wardens available down here in Minas Tirith either. As you can see, we do get the standard armsmen, the standard units like cavalry and all of that. Gondor Militia, Gondor Cavalry, Gondor Spearmen, Infantry, Wardens of the White Tower, Citadel Guard, Fountain Guard, all that good stuff. Pretty much just missing regular Gondor Archers and maybe a handful of other units here and there. But for the most part, you do absorb most of the roster, and I think the real fun of it is going to a place like Dol Amroth, building up your royal barracks here, and then suddenly you are pumping out Knights of the Silver Swan, Knights of the Tirith Air, and ooh, that image could probably use an upgrade. That looks very, very bad. I'm going to petition for that to be changed as well. I mean, look at the difference in quality there. I think someone took a screenshot at like probably 480p on that, and now it's all stretched out. Even with these Amrothian Squires, it's a little bit gross, but it is really fun. Now you have access to all of these fun regional units everywhere you go. But I do believe this will be the harder route, as you are dealing with so many enemies in pretty much every direction. Although you do not go to war with Khand, I believe. So you're kind of neutral with them. I think that's just due to the scripting and if they ally or go against Mordor. Although this is actually still early in the game, so I mean, granted, you will probably never do this at turn 32. Although it is certainly possible. I would say you can get the Reunited Kingdom done earlier, because all you need to do is do Aragorn's quest up here, and then follow the steps and eventually send him down to Dunharrow, get the Oathkeepers, have the Oathkeepers go fight 3 battles, and then just sit Aragorn down here with a diplomat to get you an alliance with the 2 nations. So you can probably speedrun that a little bit. I do think Aragorn's quest starts around turn 6, and that's when you get triggered to go to Bree, so you might be able to get this one a lot quicker than you can for the Arnorian route. As for Arnor, you do have to complete the quest outside of the Oathkeeper's part, and then you must upgrade Numenos to a large city, although we can actually upgrade it one more time with the Reunited Kingdom. So actually, is this rebuilt here? Did I rebuild this? I don't know if I did. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's just ignore that for now. I did, of course, cheat and upgrade all these settlements to their max, but that's pretty much what you'll be able to expect. So I'd say the easier campaign would be sticking with Arnor up here and just managing your nation from this region of Middle-earth. The harder campaign, although potentially much funner, is to absorb with Gondor. If I had one little point of note, I would kind of like to keep Dol Amroth kind of autonomous and have that option, like maybe a secondary script. You decide, do you want Amroth or not, or do you want them to still be down here? Because you could, you know, maybe some players might want to have the AI to help them down here. Otherwise, you are pretty much completely alone. I mean, you've got Rohan here and a potential ally in Khand, but that really depends on where their script sends them. It'll pretty much be you against most of the evil forces in the world. And look at that, we even got Forlong the Fat here. And all of the auxiliary units, of course, do spawn with them. I do believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think if these unique generals like Forlong and Denethor are dead, I don't know if they respawn for you or not. That would need to probably go through some testing, but I do know the current way that the scripting works is it basically kills them off and then respawns them for their strategy map models to work properly, which is why Boromir's over here instead of wherever the AI might have had him. And another little note, the Dome of Stars has been integrated into the East Osgiliath CSM, so it is no longer a unique resource on the map, and I think that is to free up another resource slot for whatever they decide to do with it. Honestly, I am not 100% sure on that, but I do believe now there is a free strategy map model for whatever they want to throw on there. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next set of changes, which will be for the Variags of Khand. And another quick note before we go on to the Khand scripts at the start. The welcome message has been updated to add this note here that says some factions have restricted town or castle development, and then it goes on to tell you about what the restrictions are, where it is saying that Anduin, Enderwyth, and Dunland unlock their cities, large cities, and strongholds through their respective scripts, and Bree cannot get strongholds and only can get large cities if you make a certain choice. So that's been updated there. I think that's the only new part of the welcome message, but I could be wrong about that. The Rebel Generals one, I can't remember if that was in there before or not, but that might as well have been. So when you do start as Khand, you will be given this choice, the Arrival of the Horde. And I'll go ahead and scroll through this slowly and let you guys read it if you want, so feel free to pause on that if you want to read it. But I'm just going to go ahead and get down to the bottom here. So as we get down here, it does say select whether you would like Khand to begin as a horde, able to conquer wherever you please. Selecting the green tick will enable your horde start, locking you to the Mordor route of Khan's Blue Wizard script, and clicking on the red cross will grant you the Sturlurtsa Khand and allow you to play through the Khand campaign as normal, including the full Blue Wizard script, allowing you to decide between Mordor and the Blue Wizards later in the campaign. So if you want the traditional Khand start and to have the Blue Wizards choice, you will pretty much hit the decline option here. If you want to start as a horde, you will just hit accept, which does lock you into the Mordor Alliance part of it. So all your armies will be moved out and respawn, so that here at the front line, just past Chelkar, you will have Khan Arkish with a full cavalry stack along with Warlord Arash and a couple of Khandish raiders here in the fort. So you pretty much have a full 20 stack army of decent cavalry units, mostly early tier, but you do get the Variags, Horse Archers, the Wind Riders, the Lancers, and that's pretty much it. Standard Nomad Horsemen, so not your super elites, but of course Khan Arkish does come with the Variag Nobles, and Warlord Arash does come with the Wind Riders. The fastest cavalry unit in the game, bar absolutely none, I believe. I don't think I'm wrong about that. That's one of the facts I know about Divide and Conquer. There is no unit faster than this unit here. But from here, basically picking as Khand. If you want to go ahead and take these guys and just maybe hop on right down into here to Rad, go ahead. If you want to start in Dol Amroth and invade them, you can do that. Do you want to go all the way to Edoras or somewhere in Rohan and start up a new, nation over here? You can do that. The entire world is your oyster. You may want to go in between in the middle of Rovanian and start a cavalry horde here. I think this could actually be a potentially very interesting place to do it, although all of these regions are very poor, so I don't know if I'd really recommend it. Maybe if they were updated to have a bit more resources, it could be worth it. If you want to go up to Dale, you could do that. Heck, maybe you want to get weird and start in Gundabad, or maybe you want to go to the other side of the map and start a campaign in Thorin's Halls, although it would take you probably at least a dozen turns with cavalry to get here. In fact, I'm kind of curious now, how long would that take? At what point? It's still yellow here. Okay, so if we go back to Khand Arkish, what point does it stop being yellow? Okay, so I guess somewhere by Rohan is about the 10 turn limit, so you can get to Edoras in about 10 turns there. So I'd say probably, if I had to guess, 20 odd turns to get all the way up here. Probably 25 or so. But if you want to do that, you now have the option Just know that might put you behind, but it's something similar to the Arnor. Go wherever the heck you want. I imagine, realistically, you'll probably pick somewhere up here on this side of the map, so maybe you'll go into Rovanion, or maybe just start in the heartlands of Gondor, while an Arnor player might take along anywhere on the western coast. You might be inclined to stay along the east. Although, if I were to adjust the starting position, I'd probably move them a little bit up closer, maybe by Houdahunter, and just let the guys start up there. And from there, you pretty much go wherever the heck you want. But that's pretty much it for Con. Outside of that, I don't know if they can get the Great Beasts anywhere, or if those are restricted. I'm not 100% sure. I've not really gone and play-tested Con. This is actually just a very recent change, but it is a welcome one. So I think it'll add a lot of new dynamic ways to play Con, instead of just being here in kind of the backwater safety nest of Middle-earth, where, I mean, you're never going to get invaded down here. If you play Con and you play Evil, other than the Blue Wizards, you will never be attacked by Gondor. Dol Amroth will never reach you. Dorwinion's not going to reach you. Like, you're pretty much just completely safe here. So, and unless somehow Mordor really screws up, which they probably won't, you can expect a very safe and easy campaign, which I think makes it very boring for a lot of people. I mean, you just train your cavalry, send them up this way. Now you have some variety, and you can have a truly interesting campaign, which I'd personally be a little bit interested in, doing a campaign like up here in the middle of Rovanion and being completely neutral. Like, you've got Dale, the Elves, Dol Guldur, Dorwinion, Rune, Mordor. It could be very interesting. Anyway, we'll go on to the battle side, the battle map, for the other couple of changes that I want to go through here as we wrap up this video. And here we are with the first of the game changes here. I'm just going to give that to the AI. We do have riderless wargs here, so just a feral warg pack. Disregard the 100 unit number there. I'm not really sure what that is. I think the game imagines there's like a rider on here. So I think there's like maybe 50 wargs here, and then it considers there to be a rider. But rest assured, they don't have like rider type animations, so you won't see guys dying from random attacks to the side. I've yet to see how effective they are in combat. But let's actually check their stats. So they are 20 attack, 20 charge, but very low defense, 2 hit points. And I believe they probably have a area of effect attack similar to elephants. If we just charge them up here, let's see how they do against some seaward footmen. Here, that would be a pretty solid infantry unit to have them fight. We'll have them just go straight up the middle here and see how well these guys can do as they run up. So I can't wait to actually see what people do with these guys in the campaign. I think it could be interesting. They might not be too good against the seaward footmen. Here, these guys going in on the Gondor militia, getting their hooves in there. Ooh, this man just killed 4 of them. That warg got 4 kills at once. They are able to do a lot of damage, actually, crushing through these seaward footmen, getting them down past half health, but they are starting to die pretty quickly. I think their attack might need to be toned down a little bit, but those area of effect attacks are kind of insane, and I think that's just because they have to work kind of like, you know, elephants to actually work this way. But as you can see, they're biting with their teeth, shaking their mouths a bit. It's a little bit janky, but I think it's still pretty fun to see. And they aren't, like, invincible. Like, they are dying here just against some seaward footmen. These guys down to only maybe 20 or so wargs left. Curious to see how effective their flanking would be. Got a big blob here. We can charge them into the seaward footmen. And they do damage. They definitely do some damage. But they're not super fast. They seem to be a bit slower than standard wargs are. And that might just be like the elephant type animation set that they've got going on. I'd be curious to see how well they do up against Swan Knights. That might be interesting. See if we can pull these guys out. Here, come on, you lads, hit those Gondor militia. You guys, get over here. They're probably, presumably, weak to archers if I had to guess. Oh, don't tell me the Swan Guard are going to get killed by mountain Uruks. It won't be a good one-on-one test, as they are going to be, you know, pin-cushioned in here, but it'd be good to see if they can actually kill them on the charge. I mean, 20 charge is pretty huge, and yep, there they go. Just eating these horses, that is devastating. Those Swan Knights had no chance here. So probably pretty effective against cavalry, pretty effective against infantry as well, but they are somewhat of glass cannons. if I was to adjust this unit, I'd probably nerf the attack and charge a bit to put them more in line with regular wargs and just kind of have them be a cheap glass cannon riderless warg type unit, because they seem to be a bit strong right now, but we are on the right path, I think. Obviously, this is not final. Their animations may be, you know, flushed out and made a bit better, but it's a very interesting unit that I am glad to see. And did they have a custom description? I don't think they do yet. These fearsome wargs live. Well, yeah, that is definitely not final. Anyway, let's go on to the other battle, the other battle map change that I wanted to go through. And here we are on the battle map again, and you could probably already tell what's going to happen here if you've played Vanilla 3rd Age. But we do have the Great Black Spiders of Mirkwood back in the game. As for their stats, they're currently looking at 6 attack, 7 charge, 23 defense, but they are insanely fast on the battlefield. They have area of effect attacks because they do function basically like elephants. It'll be interesting to see how well they farm here. This time I've picked the elves, or not the elves, but the dwarves. That was heresy. Dwarves of Arnor to see just how well these spiders fare against some of their best units. Start by charging them into Dragon Slayers just to see what happens. Are they still as overpowered as they were in Vanilla 3rd Age, or have they been toned down to a proper level? We shall see. Right into Dragon Slayers, they're charging in, very fast attacks, AoE. Dude, they haven't taken any casualties yet. They are attacking incredibly fast, my goodness, but they are starting to take some damage. Yep, down to only a few models left. Dragon Slayers certainly taking a pounding here, but they seem to be struggling against this high armor. I'm not sure if they will fight to the death here. They might run. At least against super heavy infantry, they do appear to get crushed. Granted, this is 2 units here. I bet versus light infantry, they probably just annihilate them. Yet this whole unit did get crushed. But yeah, I did test it with Snaga Stalkers, and they just absolutely annihilated them by the hundreds and didn't take any losses. But granted, that's Snaga. These are heavily armored dwarves, so a bit more of a proper matchup for them. We'll see how well they do on the flank on some King's Axes here, as our AI-controlled army just stands there and receives a charge. You know, one day I'll eventually get to an Erebor campaign, but it won't be happening this year, or I foresee. But they are my favorite of the dwarves, so it's always brings a little tear to my eye to see them start going down like this. Here they come, and they actually just charge right through our own Orc Raiders here, send them flying. As on the flank, very fast attacks, like almost non-stop. All these dwarves are getting staggered, but they seem to be holding well enough. Oh, nope, now some damage is happening. Yep, on the flank, they are devastating. My goodness, these Dwarven King's Axes just have no chance right now. We did lose a spider or 2. It's like 3 spiders. This one Axeman is fighting a bunch of them. Yeah, not a good engagement for him. As you can see, they absolutely crush this unit, but they do take some damage in return. Of course, your mileage might vary with them. Expect against light infantry and low tier stuff to just get absolutely demolished. But imagine, you probably don't want to charge them into Hammers of Gundabad. Let's see what happens. How well will they fare? I imagine not too well. The area attacks are nice. It's mean that the dwarves aren't able to attack too much else, as they just keep getting staggered here. But eventually they will be able to land an attack. As you can see, the spiders kind of get deep into the formation, and then dwarves behind them are able to attack. So as long as the spider is able to target things in front of it, it seems to do a lot of damage, but the second it has its back turned to something, it seems to die. So your mileage might vary against these elite units. I mean, they can do their damage quickly, but they will die out relatively fast. And they might be toned later on. As you can see, they do eventually just fall. And I imagine the rest of this goblin army shall fall as well. No other major changes as far as I'm aware at this time. Let me just double check the change log. See here. I don't think honestly too much other than just like, you know, a lot of like campaign map stuff, resource changes, settlement changes, that sort of thing, CSMs. We are still waiting on Dunland to get their changes. Their names have been adjusted in preparation of their new visuals, but the new visuals have not been completed as of yet, but they will be on their way. Another thing is Dunedain will now be able to train Azog's Defilers if they have Gloria, and they get faster replenishment of all their enslavement units overall as well. So if you take Goblin Town, you'll get much faster Snogger replenishment than you do currently in version 4.6. If you take Dol you'll get faster trainment or retraining of all the Orc units you capture there, and so on, like if you go to Mordor or Isengard. The local archers and local militia for the Northern Dunedain were actually cut and replaced with the Riderless Wargs and the Spiders, so they have made room for those. I'm not sure how many unit slots are left, but I do know that it is pretty much down to the wire with those. But that is pretty much it for right now. Everything else I believe I've already shown on my channel, or Arakir Galadirthan has done in his dev diaries, as we see the last of these Castellans end up fighting Sons of the Fallen to the death here. I imagine they won't last that long with Iron Fist hammers and King shields and all that coming. In fact, were the Iron Fist hammers, these used to be the Orocarni nobles, I think, right? And then they got changed to Iron Fist hammers. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I don't know if that was a 4.6 change or not. But as the battle kind of, finishes off here, I think we'll go ahead and end it. Obviously, if any major changes happen in the future, I will plan to feature them depending on how busy my schedule gets. But like I said, it might be somewhat of a content drought. I might change some of my videos out to be more just like showcases and maybe more. I really want to get back to the Warhammer battles, and I just haven't been hopping online, so I don't know how much time I'll actually have to do it. And I've got a few kind of future DLC proposal theories that I've gotten in my head. So I'm coming up with things that I could do in a shorter time frame than my usual videos. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Look forward to potentially more previews in the future whenever there is enough content to display. So until next time, my friends, farewell.